Hello and welcome everyone, I hope you're doing well. So, in today's video we will discuss the things that you need to keep to yourself. The things you shouldn't share with people. This works in accordance with Law 4. Always say less than necessary. You wouldn't want to do so maybe for several reasons. To protect yourself from envy, to manage expectations, to manage impressions, to discourage prying eyes, or simply not to give ammunition. So, the first thing that comes to mind is your negative feelings towards your boss. Walls have ears, and you will get yourself fired. Instead, you have to praise your boss, specifically in front of those gossipy people. Just be subtle about it. Or praise them through imitation, making them feel superior. You can watch the video of Law 1, Never Outshine the Master for more ideas. So, if someone expresses negative feelings towards your boss, don't encourage them or appear too eager to hear them. You can tell them everything will be okay, but don't encourage their feelings, because it can be a test. I remember back when I was in a high school dorm, I was washing my hands in the bathroom when a friend approached me once and started venting about his roommate, another friend of ours. Then slowly started building up and sharing how ungrateful and nasty that friend was, and so on. I knew it was a trap, so I accused him of not being loyal and never to share this type of thing with me again. I then started praising the other person, so after a minute the person we were talking about got out of behind a bathroom door and started thanking me for being a loyal friend. At that time I pretended to be surprised and playfully told them it wasn't cool to test people like that, to solidify my act of surprise. I only did it because it was a slam dunk. It would have been better and more ethical if I merely didn't encourage the behavior. So, don't encourage that behavior. The story is about a friend, not necessarily a boss, but you get the idea. Walls have ears. Next is how incompetent your coworker or someone is. You know, that can be used to build rapport with someone who hates that person, but you don't know someone's loyalties until you test them. So it's better to refrain and build rapport on positive things. Next, that you hate your job, because it communicates that you potentially have no other options. It opens you up to getting fired. So if someone wants you to be fired, for example, they can overwhelm you with the tasks that you hate, knowing it will drag your morale down, and you either will underperform or end up quitting on your own. After all, you can't really complain about your job or ask the boss to do something else, since it communicates incompetence. Next, you can't really share that you are looking for another job. This one is a no-brainer. It can easily get you fired. It's a form of monkey branching. Make sure you secure the job first and then quit the other job. It might be courteous to give them a little heads up beforehand, but only if you secure the other job. If you do it in this way, you will leave their perception of you clean, which is very good because you never know if your current boss can become your future boss someday. Next idea is any great business idea or job-related idea. Develop your ideas until they are ready and can be defended against scrutiny. Make sure you can trademark the idea if it's something creative. You don't want to be Zuckerberged, do you? The next thing is your goals. Your goals in the domain of wealth, health, or happiness. Because if you don't achieve them, you are communicating that you are unreliable or all talk. Ultimately, you shouldn't care what others think of you. Just because you manage people's impressions of you and expectations of you doesn't really mean that you care what they think. It just means that you are strategic. You shouldn't communicate your goals, specifically if you are the type of person who keeps changing their goals. Next is the skills you're trying to cultivate. You can watch more on this in the video of hiding your abilities. You should learn to reveal your abilities in the right moment, because it creates a feeling of effortlessness. In Sherlock Holmes' story titled The Red-Headed League, after giving a marvelous deduction of the client's past personality and profession, he was asked to explain the reason behind his remarks. And after he did so, Mr. J.B. Wilson, Sherlock Holmes' client, laughed heavily. "Well, I never," said he. "I thought at first that you had done something clever, but I see that there was nothing in it after all." "I began to think, Watson," said Holmes, "that I make a mistake in explaining. Omni ignorum pro magnifico. You know, in my poor little reputation, such as it is, will suffer shipwreck if I am so candid. If you reveal too much, the mystery is gone." which is what that means. Omni ignorum pro magnifico means everything that is unknown appears as magnificent, or something like that. And the fact that Sherlock Holmes didn't translate this proverb means that he learned his lesson. What's next on the list? Your family dynamics. How your parents treat you or have treated you in the past. You would think that you are getting people's sympathy, but you are only being seen as someone who lacks loyalty, who burdens others with their own problems, or who cannot solve their own problems. Talking about your family dynamics gives others valuable information to the type of person you are. I don't mean that if you are kind or patient or intuitive. I mean the types of archetypes or manipulations that you respond to, whether you are moved by guilt or dependency, things of that nature. Of course, there is an exception here. For those who are suffering extreme emotional or physical abuse, you should seek help. This is not for you. Next is your sex life, your lay count, your deep fantasies, other people's sex life, how wild you used to be, because that's the road to revealing more information. People will be surprised, you will feel validated, and you will be more willing to give more information. So if you have a friend who does that, you might want to privately advise them to be careful with this. Next is what someone else shared with you. This is an instant disqualifier. Don't do it. Next is how much money you make, because it makes you open to expectations, like paying for things, especially on dates. Don't talk about the expensive things that you have, because it opens you to envy and insecurity of others. Don't try to humble brag. There's something that Arabs do really well, is that they hide the extravagance. If you look outside their houses, they appear normal, but if you visit them and you got inside of the house, it's like a castle inside. Arabs do this because they believe in the evil eye. They are aware of envy and the power of envy. Don't share your acts of kindness, because you appear desperate for attention. Let others notice these things. Or if you are too desperate, do something kind in front of the person who loves gossip or who is observant. It's not something that I would do, but to each his own. If this is not done skillfully, it makes you appear small. So, think before you share things. Try to embody the most judgmental person you know, and ask yourself, would saying this make me look ugly? It doesn't matter if your heart is pure or you are authentically expressing yourself, if it leads to grave damage. I'm only expressing myself to the best of my ability, they say. Well, what if that was just a veil of self-deception? People talk about their values a lot, but have you really questioned the nature of your values? If they come from the right place, from a strong place, if they are truly authentic or merely reactionary. The devil might believe he values rebellion, but is that truly the case, or is it merely a reaction, an offspring of rejection, some form of daddy issues? So, if you have something to add to the list, drop it in the comment section. Until next time, stay sharp.